This is a follow up to a story we covered a few weeks back. If you were following along in early July, you probably remember Freddy, the anonymous German World Cup visitor who took the internet by storm with his wholesome road trip through small town America. Well, there's been a significant update to that story, and it's a case study in how fast viral moments can turn sour. Let's recap what happened originally. In early June 2026, a German fan going by the handle at FreddyLA7 on Twitter arrived in the United States for what he described as a 6-week road trip following the World Cup. Freddy had one distinguishing quirk. He kept his face completely hidden in every photo and video, covering it with images of Cristiano Ronaldo. Starting in Atlanta, he began documenting his journey through the southern United States, hitting all the American cultural touchstones that fascinate foreign visitors: Buc-ee's, Taco Bell, Walmart, Waffle House, Bass Pro Shops. His posts had this genuine, wide-eyed energy that resonated, and Americans ate it up. The response was overwhelming. On June 18th, country singer Ella Langley saw his posts about discovering her music on country radio stations and invited him to a concert. Former NFL star J.J. Watt saw the thread and put him up at the Post Oak Hotel in Houston, paid for the whole room. Celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay got involved, covering Freddy's hotel stay and meals. This wasn't just viral, this was a full-blown "the internet is falling in love with this guy" phenomenon. Freddy's follower count exploded, eventually hitting over 750,000 on Twitter. The narrative was simple and heartwarming. Foreign visitor falls in love with America. Americans show him hospitality in return. But here's where the story takes a turn. In the weeks that followed, and this is the update we're covering today, backlash started building online, and it built fast. On June 30th, just one day after Germany was eliminated from the World Cup by Paraguay in a penalty shootout in the round of 32, Freddy deactivated his entire Twitter account. The timing raised eyebrows. Why would someone with 750,000 followers just vanish at the height of their viral moment? The answer was in the comments sections and quote tweets that had been piling up. Users started digging into Freddy's digital footprint, and they found old posts suggesting he'd actually visited the United States before, contradicting the wide-eyed first-timer persona he'd been projecting. Others started questioning the authenticity of the entire operation. Was this really just a spontaneous road trip, or was it something more calculated? Once celebrities and brands started throwing gifts and hotel rooms at him, some observers felt the whole thing started to look less like organic discovery and more like guerrilla marketing. Now, here's the critical thing to understand. There is no confirmed proof that Freddy staged or faked anything. An Outkick opinion piece from late June speculated that he was sort of a fraud, but that piece itself didn't provide concrete evidence. It was commentary based on the same suspicions circulating online. We have to be clear about that. This isn't a story about a proven hoax. This is a story about how public perception shifted, how a wholesome viral moment curdled into suspicion once the internet collectively decided it didn't trust what it was seeing. Freddy resurfaced on Instagram after deactivating Twitter, telling his remaining followers that he'd left because the platform was too toxic. And that's probably true. Anyone who's been on the receiving end of Twitter pylons knows how brutal they can be. But the damage to the narrative was already done. The story that had been heartwarming German discovers America became, was this guy playing us the whole time? What's fascinating here is the speed of the reversal. Freddy went from being showered with celebrity attention and genuine goodwill to being the subject of skeptical think pieces in a matter of days. And the trigger wasn't new information, really. It was a vibe shift. Users found a few old posts that it didn't quite fit the narrative. Brands and celebrities got involved in ways that felt a little too convenient. And suddenly the collective internet lens changed from "this is adorable" to "wait, are we being marketed to?" There's an irony here worth sitting with. The original story was about American hospitality, about a country that loves when outsiders fall in love with it, especially the parts that coastal elites might overlook. Waffle House, Buc-ee's, Bass Pro Shops. These are cultural institutions that don't get a lot of international spotlight, and seeing a German visitor earnestly document them felt validating. It felt real. But the internet's skepticism reflex is powerful. especially in 2026 when everyone's been burned by influencer marketing and performative authenticity 1,000 times over. The moment something feels too good, too perfect, too viral, there's a portion of the audience that immediately starts looking for the catch. And once that skepticism takes hold, it's almost impossible to put the genie back in the bottle. Did Freddie misrepresent himself? Maybe. Was his persona more performance than reality? Possibly. Does any of that actually matter if people enjoyed the content and the celebrities who helped him did so willingly? That's the question we're left with. Here's what we know for sure. Freddie existed. His road trip was real in the sense that he posted photos and videos from those locations, and real people with real money chose to be generous to him. Whether the emotional framing around all of that was authentic or carefully constructed is something we may never definitively know. Because Freddie's face stayed hidden, his identity stayed anonymous, and once he deactivated, the primary source of information disappeared. What makes this story worth revisiting isn't whether Freddie was genuine or not. It's what the whole arc says about viral culture in 2026. We want heartwarming stories. We want to believe in spontaneous moments of connection and generosity. But we're also so conditioned to expect manipulation that we can't fully trust them anymore. The second something goes too viral, the second it gets too much attention, the backlash clock starts ticking. Freddie's story became a victim of its own success. If he'd stayed a niche account with 10,000 followers documenting his trip, nobody would have questioned it. But once J.J. Watt and Gordon Ramsay got involved, once it became a story about America's relationship with how the world sees us, especially during a World Cup being hosted on American soil, the stakes changed. It stopped being just a guy posting about Waffle House and became a cultural moment. And cultural moments get scrutinized. So whatever happened to Freddie, he's on Instagram now, apparently keeping a lower profile. Germany's out of the tournament, the World Cup rolls on, and the rest of us are left with a cautionary tale about the shelf life of viral wholesomeness in an age of perpetual suspicion. Maybe Freddie was exactly who he said he was. Maybe he wasn't, but the fact that we'll never know for sure is probably the most 2026 ending this story could have had.